I'm Larry Stogner. Coming up later on WTVT 11 News, both U.S. Senate candidates are on the campaign trail. Harvey Gantt in the heart of Carolina, Jesse Helms in the mountains. And some English children visit a Raleigh elementary school for a taste of the American life. Those stories and more coming up in 30 minutes. Now let's join Miriam Thomas and Mike Caplan for WTVT 11 News at 5:30.
Thank you, Larry. Coming right up, it is both a sad and happy day for an Apex woman. In 1 week's time, she's lost her home and gained a daughter. And should homeless children have their own schools to attend? Monica Shuman has our special report. Those stories and more all straight ahead on WTVT 11 News at 5:30.
You're watching WTVD, Channel 11. From across the heart of Carolina, this is WTVD 11 News with Miriam Thomas and Mike Caplan. The exclusive Accuweather forecast and the latest sports. Now, WTVD 11 News at 5:30.
Good evening. As quickly as it began, a Rocky Mount child abuse murder trial ends with a surprise twist.
And we will continue our special report tonight on the plight of homeless children as we examine the idea of sending them to separate schools. But first, an update to a story we shared with you earlier this week about a house fire in Wake County, one that left a single mother of 5 homeless. Well, tonight, Gloria Battle is the mother of 6 children. Just after last midnight, she had a baby girl, born a week early at the end of what's been a terribly traumatic week for this family.
A lot of phone calls, a lot of mail coming in every day. And they realize how many people it can care.
Folks responding to a WTVT 11 News story and other reports about the Battle family have sent clothing, food, money, and some have even offered to babysit. Gloria Battle says the birth of Michelet is both a blessing and a burden.
Losing a home on Monday and having a baby on Friday. Still confusing. Everything happened in 1 week.
Gloria Battle is still searching for a new home, and she hopes that search will end soon after she leaves this hospital. In Raleigh, Kay Kusuda, WTVT 11 News.
Tragedies like the Battles are one reason why our state's population of homeless children grows by the day. Whether it's because of a fire or an abusive home, something has pushed some 6,100 children in our state out of their permanent homes into emergency shelters, or in some cases, even into cars.
WTVD's Monica Shuman joins us again tonight to show us more of North Carolina's youngest homeless population in a special report, Homeless Kids, Please Don't Tell My Friends.
Mike and Miriam, last night we heard the child's perspective of what it's like to be without a home, the turmoil of moving all the time, the ridicule from other kids. You can imagine that going to school can be tough for these children, sometimes to the point they don't want to go to school at all. Charlotte has come up with one solution that is actually drawing kids off the streets, and some folks in Raleigh like that idea.
That's how I did it.
Welcome to A Child's Place, a one-room school in Charlotte for K through 6th graders. Here, it doesn't matter if the children wear the same clothes every day. If the school bus drops them off at a local motel or emergency shelter, they're all in the same boat. Each one of them is homeless.
I love school. I love moving too.
Moving has brought Stephanie Hooper and her family to Raleigh. Ask her about school, and she has to think twice about which one she likes the best. Millbrook Elementary is her 4th this school year. Adjusting isn't any easier for Stephanie's brother Daniel. He has a speech impediment.
That's upside down.
His sister Shalisa has been diagnosed with a reading disorder. And teachers say they could be helped if they would just stay in one place longer than 2 weeks.
In kindergarten, we're doing a lot of hands-on play that's easy to pick up and put down. But in the upper grades, I'm sure it'd be very, very difficult, because by the time a child gets in and you get them targeted to, the reading book they need or whatever, they could be gone.
Barbara Levy and Pam Denning operate the only 2 emergency shelters in Raleigh that accept children. And both say it's time the Triangle opened a school just for these kids.
We'd like to have a school that said it's okay to talk about what you're going through, and here are a lot of other people who are going through the same thing.
The idea will be to mainstream them and get them back into regular school. But if they can stay in this school for, say, 3 months and get that extra attention and help them get caught up, by the time they go into regular school, they'll have that much of an advantage.
They've got the place all picked out, the Salvation Army Community Center in downtown Raleigh, now only used for Sunday school and an afternoon tutoring program. It's also equipped with a kitchen and a playground out back.
And I'll be real honest, I can't think of a benefit.
This is John Ringo, the principal of Millbrook Elementary. His school enrolls approximately 15 homeless children each school year.
Kids like to feel very much like the other children. They don't want to feel different. And they're at a real disrupted place in their lives right now, and I think that the regular school setting can provide some stability to them where they can be around other kids and feel very much like the other kids do.
It's not like we're saying everybody that's homeless has to go to this school, but there are a lot of kids that are in situations where they're in, for instance, motels, by-the-week motels, where these kids live and don't go to school at all.
Organizers of the homeless school are still waiting on word of a community grant and some financial and staff support from Wake County schools. The students, they say, won't be too hard to find. Daniel, Stephanie, and Shalisa are proof positive.
If Raleigh's version of a Child's Place gets the thumbs up, organizers hope to begin enrolling students by next fall. Now, we'd also like to mention tonight we've received a tremendous response from those of you who would like to help the Hooper children and the hundreds of other children like them here in the heart of Carolina. Here's the place to start if you would like to help. The Hoopers can be reached through the Salvation Army in Raleigh. The telephone number is 834-6733. You can contact this number or your local shelters to find homeless children in your neighborhood who might be in need of help. Mike and Miriam, we said more than 6,100 in the state. They're everywhere. They all need help, no doubt about it.
Good to see that Raleigh's kind of following Charlotte's lead there.
And we're going to follow up and find out if the shelter school really does come through in our capital city.
All right. It'll be interesting to see that unfold.
Thanks for that report, Monica.
Thank you, Monica. Well, in Edgecombe County, the child murder case that shocked a community when the crime occurred has done that again. The trial of Darnell Joyner is over just days after it began, and he's been sentenced to life in prison for the murder of this child. 11-year-old Elizabeth Collazo was beaten to death and found buried in a remote field last year, days after the child's mother reported her missing to police. This week in Edgecombe County, the mother, Josephine Oramas, testified in the trial of her boyfriend, Darnell Joyner. She told the court he had blindfolded and beaten little Elizabeth several days before the child died, apparently of her injuries. In court yesterday, Joyner abruptly pled no contest to second-degree murder charges and was promptly sentenced. Testimony in the Blanche Taylor Moore murder trial today centered on the written messages of a dead man. In a Winston-Salem courtroom today, witnesses tried to disprove a confession. The murder confession allegedly written by Garland Thomas. In it, he supposedly admits to killing Raymond Reed. Mrs. Moore is, of course, on trial for Reed's 1986 arsenic poisoning death. Some who testified today said Moore herself forged that confession.
On the campaign trail tonight, it was businessman Harvey Gantt, not the politician, who made a stop in Fayetteville this afternoon. Gantt was on the campus of Fayetteville State University to help dedicate a new business education building. Gantt, whose architect firm designed the $6.5 million building, turned over a set of ceremonial keys to FSU Chancellor Dr. Vic Hackley. After a quick inspection tour and an impromptu autograph session, Gantt conceded to reporters that he felt those negative campaign ads by the Helms camp have hurt his popularity.
That's the job of his campaign, I guess, is to drive up my unfavorable ratings, which is another way of saying causing the other to decline. I think in the end, people are appreciating the kind of campaign that we sought to run, and I think that the people of North Carolina realize that Harvey Gantt did not try to insult their intelligence.
Gantt said he will spend the weekend campaigning in Charlotte and Greensboro before heading back out across the state on Monday. In the western part of the state, incumbent Senator Jesse Helms met one of his biggest crowds of the week. One campaign stop for Helms today was at a restaurant in Boone. There, more than 800 people were waiting to hear from the senator. Accompanying him on this campaign swing was Charlotte Mayor Sue Myrick. She told the crowd gathered that Gantt's ads about balancing Charlotte's budget are false. She says the credit should go to the Charlotte city manager and the city council.
President Bush is pledging to do his level best to bring every American soldier home alive from the Persian Gulf. But at the same time, he says the White House will not stop short of whatever it takes to drive Iraq out of Kuwait. Appearing at a Republican fundraiser in Cincinnati today, the president said he hopes to end the standoff in the Gulf, quote, without a shot being fired in anger. In the Saudi desert, the U.S. commanding general of Operation Desert Shield echoes that sentiment. General Norman Schwarzkopf saying he wants to see Washington do everything possible to avoid war in the Gulf. And Schwarzkopf says there are alternatives to destroying Iraq. Our soldier of the day is part of a fine military tradition in his family. Staff Sergeant Lester McLaney, Jr. is with the 82nd Airborne Division based at Fort Bragg, and he's been in the Army since 1978. Sergeant McLaney was nominated by his mother, who says she's proud of him for continuing a family tradition. The sergeant's father was in the Army for 30 years. This seasoned military wife and mother reminds all women with loved ones overseas to pull their bootlaces up and be someone they can be proud of.
The woman hailed as the mother of the civil rights movement is in the Triangle this weekend, receiving honors from 2 area universities. Rosa Parks arrived at Shaw University in Raleigh today in a stretch limousine, but it was in a bus where she helped change American history. 35 years ago, Ms. Parks refused to give up her bus seat to a white man in Montgomery, Alabama, catalyzing a boycott of the city's bus line, helping to end segregation on buses. Since then, much has changed, but she's just as committed to the civil rights movement.
I feel that as long as those of us who believe in freedom will continue to speak and work toward that end, that we will not let the movement die or just fade into the thin air.
Ms. Parks will be honored at Shaw University tonight and will be the keynote speaker at a banquet for civil rights at North Carolina Central tomorrow.
It's wonderful to see her looking so well.
77 now. Well, we've got quite a weekend weather-wise on tap. Wait till you hear about it in the exclusive AccuWeather forecast.
We can't wait. And there's a special place to shop till you drop over the next few days. That and more when we come back.
Christmas may be the last thing on your mind, but some of the best bargains of the year await the early bird holiday shopper this weekend. The Junior League Bargain Sale is now underway at the Omni Convention Center in downtown Durham. Everything from new toys to antiques, furniture, clothing, and even plants are priced to move for the 2-day event. The Junior League of Durham and Orange counties returns the proceeds back to the community to help fund several volunteer projects. The bargain sale continues until 9 p.m. tonight and will reopen tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
The folks in Fayetteville are gearing up for one of the biggest weekend events of the approaching holiday season as well. More than 200 exhibitors from up and down the East Coast have set up shop in Fayetteville's Charlie Rose Civic Center as the 24th Annual Holiday Fair gets into full swing. This annual arts and crafts show is sponsored by the Junior Service League and is that civic group's biggest fundraiser of the year. A percentage of the profits goes to various community projects and to child abuse prevention programs.
So the money that we make from ticket sales and from booth rental, our league bay, and our raffle all goes back into the community. To date, we have put over $419,000 into the community.
That's great. This year's theme is Shop Till You Drop. The holiday fair runs through Sunday. Shouldn't be hard to do if you can tear yourself indoors this weekend.
That's the key. It's going to be so beautiful. It'll be a perfect time to go to the beach or something like that, but there are some changes. We'll talk more about those at 6 o'clock, but only good news here in our report now. AccuWeather says the weekend, double thumbs up. Our current temperature is 71 degrees, humidity 41%. Winds, as they have been all week long, barely moving. The air is just kind of sitting there right now, south at 3 miles an hour. Barometer, 30.27, holding steady. Our photographer Tim Wright takes us to US 70 as we catch one of the planes coming in near Raleigh-Durham International Airport. If you look closely, yes, some high, thin, cirrus clouds today. What a weather event. Current temps, Roxborough 69, Wilson 72, and Anger at 73. And at Wake Forest, we're looking at 71 degrees. Overseas for Mideast AccuWeather, Kuwait City, the hot spot today. 93 degrees for the high in Riyadh, Saudi.